Alright, back with you again on the Rich Van Tassel channel, continuing with our NBA preview. We're doing the 50 best players. We're starting now with players 11 through 20. Gave you 1 through 10 yesterday. So we're starting with the 11th best player in the league. I have Damian Lillard, the point guard for the Portland Trail Blazers. This guy who averages 21 points per game. His assists could be better, just right around 6. So for a point guard, you'd expect a little more than that, but he does score a lot. He does have 1.2 steals per game, so over a steal per game in the NBA is good for a point guard. So you'll need that, especially with the big guys when they try to post. You want a guard who can pressure the ball, so that's good for Damian Lillard. That's what he can do. He can also score with the best of them, and he's a good rebounder too, just shy of 5 rebounds a game. So it's also very good for a point guard. So Damian Lillard is the 11th best player. The 12th best player is his former teammate, now a member of the San Antonio Spurs, the power forward for them. I'm probably going to play center now with Tim Duncan there, but that's beside the point. LaMarcus Aldridge. LaMarcus Aldridge is a very underrated guy. You look at his numbers, he puts up 23 points over last season and over 10 rebounds a game. That's very impressive. Didn't get a lot of publicity being in Portland, all the way on the West Coast and the Northwest. He's a good player. He's really going to solidify San Antonio as a team that could possibly win, at least 65 games this year. It really depends with the Spurs because you don't know how much they're going to play their starters throughout the regular season, but certainly adding a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge can help them a lot. I'd like to see LaMarcus Aldridge develop just a bit more of a post game. He is good in the post, don't get me wrong, but that's where I think his weakness is lacking. I'm probably a little bit better rim protector, but he's a guy who can shoot from the outside, and he can play well on the post. He's a guy who can, break you down, hit a turnaround jump shot, but just a bit of improvement on his post game is where I really see LaMarcus Aldridge take the next step. Our 13th best player, we have Marc Gasol, the center for the Memphis Grizzlies. This is a guy who averages over 17 points and just shy of 8 rebounds per game. He also is over a block and a half per game, so it's very impressive. Marc Gasol was the former Defensive Player of the Year back in 2013. He really anchors that defense for Memphis, which is the strength of their team. He's one of their go-to guys offensively in pick and pop with Mike Conley. He's a guy who can also post you up. His post-up game is not great. It's probably the weakest part of his offense, but he can do it, and he can score with his back to the basket. And with him and Zach Randolph, they make a nice 1-2 punch for the Memphis Grizzlies. So Marc Gasol is the 13th best player in the league. The 14th best player, a lot of people might not think he's this low. I do. I've never been too high on him, but I still have him up there in the top 15, and that's Chris Paul, the point guard for the Los Angeles Clippers. Chris Paul is a guy who just does average 10 assists per game, just shy of 20 points. Again, though, Rajon Rondo used to average 11 assists a game, and no one would even consider him the best point guard in the league. I think Chris Paul lives off of a lot of reputation. He is a good defender. He will get steals. He's almost at 2 steals per game. He is a fierce competitor. We know that. I think a lot of his assists come on the fact that he has guys who can finish at the rim and in transition. That allows him to get a lot of easy assists on alley-oops, Lob City with the Los Angeles Clippers. That's the case. He's a good free throw shooter, can shoot 3-point shots, but he's a guy who's got to start winning before I'm really going to give him the credit I think he deserves, though. He'll get it from everyone else in the league. So Chris Paul, the 14th best player. Number 15 with Dwight Howard, the center for the Houston Rockets. Dwight Howard's numbers have got to get a little better on the scoring end. He can still rebound with the best of them, but I'd like to see Dwight up around 18, 19 points. He's hovering around 16 right now. He still has to be a better free throw shooter. If he improves his free throw shooting even slightly, he would probably be averaging, 20, 22 points per game, but he's got to do that. I'd like to see him continue to work on his post game, but Dwight Howard is 30 years old. I know it's hard to believe now, and he's going to turn 31 before the year is out, and that's the year of 2015, not the NBA year. You wonder how much more improvement he's ever going to get in his post game. So the addition of Ty Lawson should help him out this year. That being said, he's got to improve his offensive game, but defensively he'll still block shots, and he's still a big-time rebounder. I think people have been, worn thin of Dwight Howard over the past couple of years, but he's still a great player, and don't forget how good of a rebounder this guy is. So Dwight Howard cracks out the top 15. Number 16, the point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies, Mike Conley Jr. This is a guy who makes that entire offense go. He is the one who facilitates Marc Gasol in the pick and roll game. He's a good three-point shooter, likes to take the clutch shots. He's a good defender as well, has been on the All NBA defensive team, good steal man. A bit undersized, only 6'1", but he stays in front of guys well, and he's quick on his feet, which makes him a good defender. I don't know if we mentioned he can also shoot the three-point well, is also good from the free throw line, but he's just really the anchor of that offense. Where Marc Gasol is the anchor of that defense, Mike Conley is the anchor of that offense. And I think that he's got to be at the top of his game if the team wants to have any hope of ever winning the championship, which is basically the next evolution for that team. But we'll go more into that in the season preview. But Mike Conley's worth should have been shown when he was hurt last year in the playoffs. They really suffered when they were playing when they were playing the Golden State Warriors in that series. So number 16, Mike Conley Jr. Number 17, the future Hall of Famer and the power forward / center, whichever way they're going to go with LaMarcus Aldridge in San Antonio, and that's Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan's numbers, you look at them and they look good, but you're not like blown off the page by him. It was just under 14 points, just above 9 rebounds, and at 2 blocks per game. 2 blocks per game is very impressive. However, so there's nothing to sneeze at with that, but they were all under 30 minutes per game. He's still a good rim protector, and his post game is going to get the points underneath. Still knock down outside jumpers, but he's very patient and very deliberate in the post. He takes his time to get what he wants, but he does it. He still does it well, and Tim Duncan is going to have, I expect, another very good year this year. Look for him to be, again, definitely on an all-defensive team, but possibly even the All-NBA yet again this year for Tim Duncan. So we'll see how that goes, but Tim Duncan's still getting it done even at his age of 39 now. Will turn 40 in April 2016. The 18th best player is DeMar DeRozan, the shooting guard for the Toronto Raptors. DeRozan is a guy who averages 20 points per game. He's the main guy. I mean, they do have Kyle Lowry at point guard on that team, but DeMar DeRozan is the guy who scores the points. He's not the best defender. I'd like to see him raise his shooting percentage a bit as well, but he's definitely the guy that makes that team go around. He's their main go-to guy, as we just discussed. Kyle Lowry runs the offense, but DeMar DeRozan is the one who's going to get the points. I think if you took Kyle Lowry off, they wouldn't be as good, and if you took DeMar DeRozan off, they would suffer a great deal. So DeMar DeRozan probably a surprise there, but he's a guy who puts up 20 points in this league and carries a 50, just under a 50-win team. So you've got to acknowledge DeMar DeRozan's talents in this league. So he is number 18. Number 19, I have Dirk Nowitzki, the power forward for the Dallas Mavericks. Just under 18 points. Again, he might get back to 20 points. I don't know if he will. His days of scoring 20 might be behind him. But even at his age, he's 37 now. He still scores with the best of them. Shooting percentage, this guy was a 50-40-90. For those of you who missed what we said yesterday, the 50-40-90 is 50% field goal percentage, 40% three-point percentage, and 90% from the free throw line. He did that a few years ago. So while his shooting numbers, again from the floor, are at about 45% from the field goal percentage and 38% from the three-point percentage, while those are down, those are still very good numbers. I mean, they're down for his standards, but he can still shoot with the best of them, still score. Has always been an underrated rebounder in this league. Doesn't really get the tough rebounds, but he does rebound enough, and he's not the best defender, but he does compete and do what he can to solidify himself as a quality defender that doesn't need to be such a liability. That's all you can really ask of a guy, but Dirk Nowitzki's still getting the job done even at his age. And rounding out the top 20, I'm going to give him some love. He was injured all last year. I think he's very much on the rise, and I look for him to have a bounce back season, and that's Paul George, the shooting guard / small forward for the Indiana Pacers. Again, only played a few games last year, averaged about 9 points, but I believe he only played 4 or 5 games, so you can't really look into that. He was definitely on his way up. Coming into last year, had that spectacular breakout season the previous year, the 2013-2014 season. So he's on his rise. Let's see if he can continue to come back from that injury. I don't see why not. I don't think they would have let him on the court for a couple games last year if he wasn't ready to go. But this is a guy who can get to the rim at any time. You'd like to see him improve his shooting just a bit, but a solid lockdown defender will take any of the best defenders in the league. Again, this is all pending that he's back from his injury, but I don't see why he wouldn't be. So I do like Paul George rounding out the top 20. So there it is. That's 11 through 20 for today. We're going to give you then 21 through 30 tomorrow, and we're going to give you the team breakdowns and the predictions. I don't know if I'll do that tomorrow on Thursday or sometime. It might be Monday, the day before the season starts. Who knows? But be sure to stay tuned for that. Tomorrow we will also be giving you the breakdown of the Sunday night football game, or excuse me, the Thursday night football game, kicking off the new week of the NFL season. So stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching.